Now let's get into our first guest of the evening. She is an actor and producer who can currently be seen in the film A Working Man, which is in theaters today, starring Jason Statham. Welcome to the program, Eve Mauro.
Hi.
How you doing?
Hi, Eve.
I'm good. How are you guys?
Very good, very good.
Excellent.
Glad to be talking with you tonight. Of course, A Working Man hit theaters today. For people who haven't heard about it yet, what's the film all about, and what's your character Artemis all about?
Okay, well, the film, it's a Jason Statham film, so it's definitely, there's a lot of action.
Yeah,
And he is a former black ops, and he's decided to work in the world of construction. And in the process, when he's working construction, his boss's daughter goes missing. And his boss gives him an offer for him to find the daughter. And so then he goes into this world and he's uncovering all of these. You have Russian mafia, you have motorcycle gangs, trafficking, methamphetamines, you name it. And that's all looking for the boss's daughter. And then I come into play.
yeah, you definitely come into play. I would say you come into play even before all that, really. Like that's
Oh, what do you mean?
I'm just saying your character's integral to the story because without you, there really isn't a story. That's what I'm going to say about your character.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, we come in at the beginning, my brother and I, and we do what is necessary to make money. And so if that means taking a girl and abducting her or trafficking her, then I guess that's what we do. But, then I get to work I'm in a motorcycle gang.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
working with a Russian mob, well, not directly with them, but you know what I mean. You saw the movie.
Oh yeah, totally, totally. One thing I do want to say about Artemis though, because you brought up the brother Viper, Artemis and Viper, they're a duo. Viper seems like the dumb one of the pair, but it's very obvious that as tough as Artemis is, much like Viper, she's in a little over her head. Like she has plans and she's moving stuff around, but she's also trying not to get caught on multiple levels.
Yeah, right. I mean, because you have so many of the things that she's doing. Some of like the motorcycle gang can't know about this, and the other
Yeah.
ones can't. And so it's like she has all these pieces and parts lying around, and these things just continue to happen as much as she thinks she has it all together. And then she's got her dumb-wit brother, and which I really enjoyed being brutal with him, and he enjoyed it too. So
There you go. There you go.
uh,
What
it's nice
man
for a
wouldn't
girl
be?
to,
What man wouldn't enjoy someone being brutal with them in that capacity? Totally, I
yeah,
agree. I
a
agree.
woman just really taking advantage of the man, and he happens to be my brother, and amongst other things.
It's always a complicated relationship, I guess, between siblings. This you got to have a little bit of fun when there.
Yeah, yeah. But this one takes it to a different level, I guess. It's a little incestuous,
Yeah.
um, bordering
It's
there, and that was fun getting into. We didn't actually go into the role knowing this, and then we're rehearsing together, and David is watching us, and it started developing. We're like, yeah, I mean, let's make it even more sick and more twisted, and then just go for it.
no,
So
no,
so you
definitely.
so you developed that over like during the rehearsal process that got amped up.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and it was just like we started talking about it, and then okay, let's do this and this scene. And so initially that's not what it was. And then we started like discovering how to really develop these characters in a different kind of way. And so we were doing this on set, and then yeah, I just started developing that way, going towards that route. And at first I was like, do we really want to be doing this? I'm like, yeah, fuck, let's do it. Let's
Do it. Yeah. Let's fucking go. Yeah,
yeah.
totally.
Both feet in.
Oh,
Let's
yeah,
go.
totally.
Yeah.
My God. Now, in this, you have such a cool look where it comes out with all the different tattoos and everything. And I know that you actually did your research to make sure that all those tattoos had meaning and were authentic. Like I heard you even checked in, you were checking in on local like gang tattoos and stuff that this character might have and things like
Uh-huh.
that. And even what was the tattoo on your forehead? What was it in Latin?
Well, I said what I wanted it in Tibetan script.
Tibetan,
I wanted
okay.
it to say, better to reign in hell than to serve in heaven, John Milton quote. And I thought that was like, I'm like, yes, that's something my character, yeah, it's better to reign in hell than to serve in heaven. I'm like, yeah, it's powerful, it's strong. I'm like, that's definitely it. And David actually hired a real tattoo artist named Alice. She's from London. And she designed all the tattoos. So the first day I go into hair and makeup, she's there. And she's like, I'm going to be your tattoo artist. I'm like, wait, like what? And then she's like, what do you want? I'm like, well, I was following a motorcycle gang around and they were consulting me, I guess you could say. And so, because I really wanted to get into it. And we talked about all these different tattoos. And so they had given me ideas for the tattoos on my fingers. We have Born to Ride on my hand. I have a 1%er tattoo on my neck. And they were worried. They're like, you can't do that. Are you scared? You know, it's going to backlash. I'm like, no, the tattoo actually comes from an old Harley commercial, I believe. And it was like, most motorcyclists are good, except that 1%, talking about the motorcycle gangs. And so the motorcycle gangs were like, fuck yeah, dude. Yeah, we are that 1%. And so that's where it came from. But then, you know, then it turned into a murder thing. But
yeah, as things do, you know, things eventually turn into a murder thing. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, this is the way the world works.
Yeah, it's either a murder thing or it's a sex thing. It's one of the two.
And unfortunately, sometimes it's both.
Well,
yeah,
okay.
and for my character, it's definitely both.
Both,
right?
yeah.
So, you know, it sounds like, Eve, that coming into this, like David was very open to suggestions and ideas from the cast. Is that, you know, like something that you found throughout for everybody, like that whole, like that he was very welcoming to the like new, fresh ideas to what was going to take place on screen?
Yeah, I mean, you know, and normally you don't have that opportunity, right? So we get there, and the first day we're doing a table read, and instead of reading the script, he wants us to improv, you know, to see if we really know our characters. So we're just improvising as characters, and then it allowed him to really to change things around based on who we were and what we have developed as these characters, and it was interesting. There's a lot of changes, and like the wardrobe too. I thought going in, I'm just going to be some biker chick. And, you know, it's just this extravagant, different world he had developed. And I'm like, this is so badass. You know, it's like the mind of a genius. You know, it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I found
awesome.
that the story that David put together, made sure that each of what would be considered just like the thugs that are supposed to be killed off were all like, they all had personalities. They all had a certain level to them. They all had something different about them, which is very different from a number of action films you might see where it's just like, well, these are the people that are the obstacles and they're just kind of all the same. Whereas in this, they're each individually different.
Yeah, and I think that has to do with his casting and choosing people, right?
Yeah.
Of course, you could choose someone, okay, this is a name, let's go with this person, this is safe. And I think that every individual, like you look at Koki, he's in the scene with me at the eating the pancakes, like his character is just wild, you know,
Yeah.
he's from originally South Africa and we were doing scenes together. And I think, and of course, every single villain in this, but it was an interesting choice because he wanted like really people who had a personality, who had a voice, who knew themselves, or was like a strong person in general, and that shows through with the character as well. It wasn't like we were searching; it was a part of us that already existed, kind of, not fully, you know.
Yes. No. No one thinks you are exactly like your character.
Okay.
Totally understandable. You are a character actor. There might be things from you that are in this, but we can, hopefully most of us can differentiate between the two. We got an email in from Andrew J that says, can Eve speak Russian or Italian?
Well, my father is actually, was from Catania, Sicily, but he was born in 1934. He came to America on a boat. And when we were raised, I was the youngest, of course, you know, he's born in 34, but he wanted us to speak English, but I understand. And he spoke Sicilian dialect, which is a mixture of Italian and Greek and Arab, because they were invaded by so many different countries. So, it's almost a dead language now. Not a lot of Sicilians do, but I understand it. And I could do a really good accent. So when I have to, but Russian, no, not at all.
No.
But it would be nice, you know.
Russian would have
I'm
came in
American
handy for
who
a
only
working
speaks
man.
English.
Yeah. Russian would have came in handy for a working man, though. It would have.
Oh, right, right.
You know, like looking at all of this, you know, like with the character, as you mentioned, like it's you are not obviously your character, and you know, as an actor, you're coming in. What for you? What did you kind of like hold on to or accentuate out of your personality to bring into your character in the film to kind of like elevate that and bring that like make it real for you?
Yeah, well, I really think too, like with being working with all these men in this role, right? You have the bikers, you have Russian mobsters, you have all that. And there's an element to myself where I am a woman, but being around men of power or of whatever, I can stand out. I don't come off as this womanly person. I feel like treated more as an equal, or sometimes people can even like be a little threatened by me. And so I took that little piece of that and I ramped it up. And I wanted to, when I talk to men, like really put them in their place. And I think that's what you're asking. And I think that's mostly what I had intended to do. Just, I feel like a lot of women don't really like lean into it as they could, you know, and I really did. Like the way I was speaking to some of those guys and the way I was holding scenes, I'm like, all those instances from my life where I felt like I held that weight. I'm like, let me just go a little bit further because I can, and because it's on screen, you know, nothing bad's gonna happen to me.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the character, yeah, you're very gung ho in your face. But what I found interesting as well is that in the times when Artemis is on the back foot, it's very almost animalistic protection in nature. Like it's very like, you know, wounded animal kind of way. So I found that kind of like really deep and dark and guttural. And I know that, yeah, you trained for, what was it, like 3 months to prepare for this?
Yeah.
So what was it did that have to, did that, all that training, like in boxing and Tai Chi and everything like that, did that inform the way this character moves and stands?
Oh, yeah, well, you know, and I didn't think, because I'm like, well, I don't have any boxing scenes or anything. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm not sure. But the stunt team, which is incredible, you know, they were like, okay, you know, they had me, we rehearsed a whole entire routine. And I looked at it and they're like, would Artemis move like this? And, you know, my hands are a little wobbly and things like that. I'm like, no, you're right. And so then I started having like a different stance and my arms weren't like spaghetti anymore. You know, I was stronger. And even the Tai Chi, like certain parts where she's talking to people, like now I talk fast and a little all over the place. She's more calm and stern. And it's so interesting. There's the Alexander technique is used with acting, but to get your mind and your body to work together to build something. And it's all one, and you can't just do one. I can't just memorize lines and do a backstory. I've got to work on who I am as a character and work on my body and my physicalities. And that's what really came of that. And I'm like, wow, this is fucking dope, you know?
Yeah.
Like thinking about that, because you know you're like I think about all the movies that we get to watch, and you know, and actors who do stunt work, and you know, and or any kind of amount of training to go into it, and you don't always think about that. Even if you don't use it that much, that it can, uh, impact how you portray your character, because if a character has a little bit of a fighting, you know, background, and then you're gonna kind of move, and you know, you're not gonna be like you said, like kind of like all wibbly wobbly as you're going through scenes. You're gonna come in, you're gonna be like strutting in, like I'm gonna kick some ass, you know, and that comes across.
It really does. It's crazy to think because I was just like, okay, 3 months of this, but then you've already done your work as a character, and then you go in and you're like learning these routines as a character, and then you're watching them, and it's just you're constantly like this back and forth, and then finally one day you go to rehearsal and yourself is gone, and then you are the character, and it's like the birth has begun. Like you finally gave birth to this beautiful creation that everyone, it's not just me, it's like, it's a team. It's everyone working together, the hair, makeup, tattoos, stunts. Everyone just works together to create it. And I think that's just a beautiful thing. It's, you know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, definitely. Now, one of the big scenes near the, I'd say probably earlier half of the film is the coffee shop scene, where this is really the first one-on-one with Jason Statham's character. Like, yeah, you were in a scene before that, but this is the first time where it's like one-on-one, staring into each other's eyes, kind of, all basically, very much who's going to blink first kind of thing. How many takes did it take to get the throwing the burner phone?
God, oh my God. Oh, because we were doing the scene, and I remember I think it was on me first or something, but I was throwing the phone, I'm throwing it, it's landing off the side, it's landing everywhere, and there's a break, they were turning around, and Jason's like, do you want to practice? I'm like, oh. And of course, I'm like, no, I'll get it next time. He's like, you sure? I'm like, no. So, like, I didn't take sports growing up, but I'll get it. Trust me. And I didn't want to do it because I'm like, he's putting me on the spot, and everyone is watching. Like, oh God. And then, I did it a couple times. The first time, I think the second time I threw it at him for the practice, it went like, I have no idea what I was thinking. I think it went across the fucking room, man. I'm like, damn it, But it was nice that he helped. Yeah. So when it was on him, thankfully it didn't go in his face. That would have been bad,
That would have been bad, yeah.
It made it there. I'm like, and then, but that's one thing we didn't do in stunts. Yeah, but
there should have been a whole day of just tossing phones.
I
tossing
know,
phones.
right? I'm great. So if I ever have to throw a phone at someone, I'm golden.
You got it. Yeah.
Yeah. See, again, it's the little things about acting that always intrigue me, is like, you don't think about that. And yet how many times do we see like outtakes in movies and stuff where like the phone's going across the room, it hits somebody right in the eye. Like it's insane. Although if you had hit Jason in the face, at least you would have had a story, regardless of what may have come out of it.
Thankfully, no Jason hit, still has a story.
I didn't hit him in the face. I would have been mortified. I don't know if I would have been able to do the rest of the scene as a badass. I would have been like,
oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. Now, of course, you've been acting for quite a while, but you also are in the world of producing.
Yeah.
And you're one of the producers on documentary currently in production, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, The Untold Story of the Booyah Tribe. I know that Estevan Oriol, the director of it, he basically brought you in as producer, and you guys have been putting it together. What has it been like to be putting together this story of, because I know Estevan goes way back with them, but this kind of lesser known hip hop crew and all the people, you guys must be talking to some pretty amazing names in the business.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm blessed to be brought on as producer, but learning about them and first meeting them, the surviving members, the first time, the nicest people. I mean, scary to everyone else, but so nice. They call me sister. Everyone in their family gives me hugs. So open and welcoming. I mean, you feel like family automatically with them and safe. But their story, it's never been told, which is a surprise. Of course, they're a Samoan gangster rap group, the first of their kind, from Carson, California, in gangs in Peru, you name it. There's stories, there's some of the stories that haven't been told, and I heard this, why they got blackballed in the industry and how they would walk up to, there's one in particular, I have to say for the documentary, but the music producers and how terrified they were. But then we talked to Ice-T, who traveled with them on a tour bus, who has some crazy stories. Tretch from Naughty by Nature, and I mean, his stories are wild too. He's got so much energy. Big Boy, Mac 10, the interviews go on, and we're just like unfolding right now. There's still so much to go. And I'd studied about them prior to coming on the documentary, and the more I hear, the more I'm just blown away with their story and how nobody knows. Well, a lot of people know, but like it's not known how it should be. It's not mainstream, but hopefully it will be after this because I think they deserve it. They need their flowers, you know?
Yeah, no, to be honest, the only way I know about them is I think they were on the Judgment Night soundtrack and I'd heard that
Yep.
one song by them. That's pretty much, you know,
Yeah.
Just that's me too.
yeah.
But, you know, but it's a name you know, right? It was one of those weird things. It's like when you hear it, you're like going, I know who the Booyah Tribe is, but I'm like, then you start to read and you're like, do I know who they are?
I know, that's what I was doing. I was like, wait a sec. I'm like, oh yeah. And then I'm like, wait, what? What?
Yeah.
And then I start hearing these stories by people. I'm like, oh my God. Like, why is this not, why are people talking about this all the time? I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, crazy
the
stuff.
music industry, like regardless of genre, is a wild. Like it doesn't matter. You could be hip hop, it could be pop, it could be country. There are wild stories out there about like the most unassuming people, and
Yeah.
then you start like you think certain people have a certain kind of reputation or you know a vibe about them, but then you hear like. You know, like Dolly Parton holding people up with guns. I'm just joking. That's not true. I'm just
Stop spreading rumors about Dolly.
when I met
It's a
her.
terrible habit he has.
Yeah. And when I met her at the end of a gun, it was
Yeah.
a rough day. No,
Yeah.
I'm just saying that, like but every once in a while, there's a story like that comes out. You're just kind of like, oh my God. And music industry seemed to have really kept it under control. Like
Right?
not too many people heard about it. That's why, like, I think doing a documentary like this, bringing some of those elements to life, especially about a band that more people should have known about.
Yeah. Am I frozen?
No, you're not frozen.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
actually,
What's I gonna say?
oh, wait a second. Actually,
Yeah,
you are
Uh-oh.
frozen.
yeah.
What do I do? Hold on.
No,
Wait,
no,
turn
we
it
can
off?
still hear you. Oh,
Oh, there we go.
There
Hey.
you go.
we're all good.
Yeah, I was like, I think I know how to do this.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, you know, and you
Acting,
read
technical surprise, you know, like you're doing it all.
about, look at me, man. I'm a tech genius now. No. But you know, it is funny how now in the music industry, people they know the stories, but everyone is, you know, you hear about it because of Instagram, and maybe it's a little too much. But these stories, like they need to be told, and they need to like. I feel like the respect level for artists back in the day should grow so much more. Like the things that they endured, I mean, it's just not open, and the industry could keep it a secret, and they had so much more control and power, and you know, they were like puppeteers.
Yeah. No, totally. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I'm really looking forward to that doc when it does come out. And I'm looking forward to people checking out A Working Man and seeing just how, like, I'm going to say it's scary as shit Artemis is in A Working Man. She
Oh.
is, like, you could say badass, but I think it goes further than that. It's like, I would not want to be in a dark alley with Artemis.
Oh, that's a good call. That's a good call. You
Yeah.
never know what would happen.
Never know what would happen. Could be good, could be bad. Who knows?
Yeah, right?
Well,
Exactly.
that's why you have to go watch the film, understand what you could be getting into, so that you can avoid that situation, but not
Yes.
avoid Eve, because Eve is the best.
No, Eve's great. Eve's
Yeah, I'm
fantastic.
great. Artemis bad, Eve good.
Right.
There you go. There you go. That's the if there's any message we can give tonight, it's Artemis bad, Eve good. Totally.
That's right.
Yes.
Well, Eve, I want to thank you so much for coming on the program tonight. Have yourself a fantastic evening.
Thank you so much for inviting me.